Okay, folks, it is Thursday, March 6, 2025. It's about 7 o'clock, and this are the committee meetings, the Police, Personnel, and Finance Committee. So we're going to get started here. And Terry, we have a special guest. I'll let you introduce the gentleman from Keystone Collections.
Okay, tonight we got John Pinkerton here to talk about the per capita and occupational tax.
John, what we usually do is just, you can maybe come up there, that way the camera can get you, and
Okay.
or however you're comfortable.
Do that. Patty called a few months ago just to ask that I come down and meet with the borough regarding per capita collections, both current and delinquent. I understand that the Somerset County holds that data and has been printing the bills for many of the municipalities over the last how many years, and they're not going to do that going forward. We've had several municipalities and school districts reach out to us requesting pricing and proposals of our service. And so we're in the process of getting a lot of those out at this time. We are the earned income tax collector for Somerset County. We have been for the past few years. I think we're doing a good job. I think everyone's doing well with that. And I don't say that because we get praise. I say that because I don't hear anything. So no news is good news. So I think it's going very well. We are currently the per capita collector for the school district. So, you know, as you as residents of the borough, you will already receive a bill from the school district. You're familiar with seeing that. I understand you're not familiar with seeing the bill. But you can see how it is. We try to put enough information on our bills to tell people how to pay. We try to not clutter it up so people get bored and don't want to read the instructions. We do some things on there to make it easy for the younger generation coming along technology-wise to pay for that. I've given you 3 different packets tonight. The first one is the current per capita. You can take a look through that at your leisure. There's also one in there of sample bills. Those are full-size bills that you can take a look at. And then the last one is the delinquent per capita. We would get your information from the county. The county currently holds that data. We've received the data beforehand. And actually, we don't need it for Meyersdale. We already have it for your school district, as we do the township and the borough. We already have that information. So we would just separate the borough out and do the mailing to the same individuals. Your mailing is 3/1. Is it March 1st?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, we would just prepare that bill, send it out on March 1st, give everybody the amount of time to pay that is required. And then if selected also as your delinquent collector, we would turn it over to ourselves at the end of the year. Delinquent collections, we charge 0% commission to the municipality. There are fees on there. Those fees are charged to the taxpayer. We try to be very reasonable with our fees. In addition to that, we also would combine our delinquents. So let's say you have John Smith in Meyersdale Borough living at 123 Elm Street. He's delinquent for the borough. He's also delinquent for the school district. When that is turned over at the end of the year, we will take that and we will combine that into one bill. We will send John Smith a bill saying Keystone is the delinquent collector for Meyersdale Area School District and also Meyersdale Borough. We are informed that you are delinquent on your per capita for 2026. The amount is listed below. We will show the amount listed. We will put the fee on there, and we will give that individual 30 days to pay. There are QR codes, as you can see on there, on our current bills. The younger generation, like my kids, they're never going to use paper. They're going to pull their phone out. They're going to take a picture of it. They're going to pay their bill online with their phone or their iPad. It helps that. For older individuals, myself included, I still like paper. I still like vouchers. There's a voucher on the bottom. You can rip that off and you can mail that in at the time. There's also a website. If you want to log on, put your invoice number in there, you're able to pay on there. We do take Apple Pay, Google Pay, credit card payments. There is that same surcharge that everyone sees for the credit card payments that goes through the credit card company. Let me think here.
Did you say, excuse me, you'll send a statement out then to everybody? Some of us aren't as savvy as others. We like to write a check and send
Yep.
coupon through the mail.
You have that voucher on the bottom. If you look on the bottom of the bill, there's a tear off section that you'll be able to tear off and send that in.
Gotcha.
So we're at the first phase of the delinquents. You send the first letter out, you give the individual 30 days to pay. If they don't pay, we turn around and we send them a second letter. And this one has a little bit of different coloring on it. It does look like the same bill, but we also say on there, we have the ability and the authority to wage garnish. And the second one is called an intent to garnish. So we put on there that John Smith of 123 Elm Street, we know that you work at XYZ Lumber Company. And if this is not paid within X amount of days, we're going to wage garnish your, this amount. They have a chance to pay that through the same way they did the first bill. If they do not pay it at this time, then a wage garnishment goes to their employer. As we are the EIT collector, we know where that employer is. We will send a letter out and say, please garnish the wages of this person for this amount. If it is a large amount, which I can't see it being, it may take a couple months to get that money, but we are able to get that. We can be beneficial for your municipalities and your businesses because your businesses do not have to send in checks to us. As they're filing their earned income taxes with us, a different side of their pay site, they're able to go in there and ACH money for the wage garnishments. And they are able to do it. Makes it a little bit easier because everyone's trying to go paperless. In addition to that, if that person leaves a job, because it doesn't seem like people stay in jobs as long as they used to, and we send a wage garnishment, that person no longer works there, the company writes on there, or logs in, puts it on there, no longer works here. We wait till the next time the gentleman, female is employed, and then we follow that person, and we will send the wage garnishment to their new place of employment. So they may think they're getting out of it, but they're not. The goal here is not to keep these people in delinquents. The goal is to get these people onto their current roles. Sometimes it takes a little push, a little nudge, that you're delinquent and delinquent and delinquent year after year. What we want to do is charge them a little bit of a fee, show them that we can garnish their wages, and we want them to be able to pay current the next year. We just got to give them that little nudge. Patty, as far as getting money, disbursements, she currently gets ACH money of the EIT. She gets notification of it. We have a portal that she logs onto to see her reports. The stuff would come the same way. You would get ACH money, and it would be labeled per capita. And then you would find it also in your key track account. So then you would have an EIT folder, a current per capita folder, and a delinquent per capita folder. So you would be able to keep all your records right online the same way you do the EIT. So what is your per capita amount? $5? Yes?
Here's a sample of what the bill is now. And then it goes by your job on the occupation.
So your occupation tax is assessed.
Yeah.
And what are the amount? 5, 10, 15, 20? Okay. So who assigns that valuation to that person? If you have a new person moving into the municipality, who assigns that value to them of whether you are a 0 or a 200?
I think the way it is now, it would go to the 200 automatically, and then the person, if they dispute that, then they'd have to prove what they do, and then they can be lowered or raised.
Is it a process for you or the current
No,
tax
it would be
collector?
the tax collector, I guess, that would do that.
Okay. I think that's the one thing that we would, new people in there, I'm not sure how we would do that, but I could take a look and I could talk to them. Have you ever thought of making, instead of having the occupation be assessed, just to go with a sort of a
Flat rate.
flat rate of it? I mean, you could take a look at, what about people that are retired or non-working? If you have a non-working spouse, retired individuals, do they pay the occupation too, or does?
Yes.
Okay. So everybody gets the per capita and the occupation. And so retired,
Because the occupation is just because you live in the borough. But it goes by what your occupation was. It's kind of deceiving.
okay. You had asked earlier too about the per capita and exonerating. And some places do have a flat rate as far as the occupation tax, but then some places also have a high age limit on per capita. It's always something to,
We don't have that.
yeah, it's always, and I mean, everyone is a little different. Per capita, everyone has per capita and everyone does it differently. Sometimes there are different exonerations. Sometimes it is if you're 18 and breathing, it's a head count. You're paying it. It can be that. So, does anybody have any questions regarding that?
No, if they're delinquent and they move to Maryland, can you get money from, even though they go to Maryland?
Well, it's hard, but you can still send the bills. You can follow them as much as you can, and you can send the bills, but it can be difficult to get that because you don't have that ability for the wage garnishment.
Okay, yeah, because I know several that went to Maryland. Okay.
As you said, the purpose of that 3 different stages is like, said, older people that work, and then like doctors and that have the money that can pay the higher tax wage.
Yeah.
So if you had a flat rate, it wouldn't be fair to.
Yeah, very few places. The reason I bring that up is very few places have an assessed doc anymore, is what you really see. I mean, that's, I don't know why or how, but it is slowly.
What is the flat rate that most places?
It varies also.
Oh.
It will vary. I have seen $10. I have seen $25. The rates get into the hundreds in Dauphin County. I mean,
And you'd have to do that by ordinance, I'm assuming.
you would do that by ordinance. You would take a look. It would still run on your millage, but it would turn out that it would be that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's something to consider.
So since it's such small dollar amounts, what is your average collection rate? I mean, do you get 80%?
Are you talking, well, current delinquent?
Right. People paying it in general.
It really depends on where you're at. We have places that, communities, we currently have 21 counties that we collect EIT for. And they range from Greene County to Tioga County to Bucks, Chester County. You know what I mean? So we cover a pretty diverse part of population for Pennsylvania. We signed a school district 2017. We took their numbers from billing 20,000 people to billing 30,000 people. We were very proud of ourselves. What we didn't realize, what the culture in that area, we still only got 10,000 payments. It didn't matter how many people we billed, you were only getting 10,000 payments. Now, we've corrected that over the years because we have been wage garnishing and people have understood that happens. I mean, so you're looking at, that was a low 50% because of the culture. But then you can go to other areas and you're going to get into the 70, 65, 70 range as first, because of it's a different mentality. I mean, so it can range. It's hard for us to put a number on that, and we've never truly put a true number on it, because how do you say a Meyersdale is different than, a place right outside of Philadelphia where people are coming? I mean, it's just such a different culture and mentality. I mean, I'm sorry that I can't answer it directly for you, but I mean, it's just the honest truth. It could vary.
The reason I asked, so we were working with the ambulance service here and we considered doing a taxation and letting you guys do it for us. That was one of the options on the table. We backed away because our attorney advised not, because it would have been such a small number, and trying to collect that, we went a different route.
Yeah, it can be difficult getting something like that.
Would we, first off, we would have to make a decision, I would think, Tuesday night at our regular meeting. We can't make any decisions here. Assuming council would decide that we would want to hire you to do this taxation, would you then be able to review what we have? I would probably just suggest that we try to leave things at this point as close to what we have
Yes.
as where we are. But then if you do have some concerns, things that you would recommend we change, you could maybe work with Patty, because she seems to be the most knowledgeable
Yeah. we can
about
do
all
that for
this,
you.
and then just come up with a recommendation. We have till the end of the year, but I would want to move on this as quickly as we could.
Yeah, and so for the delinquent collections, I told you that it's 0% commission. The fees that are on there are charged to the taxpayers and paid to the taxpayers. You get your full amount of money, and your penalty amount is what we collect for you and give to you. Current, we have a team at our office that we go through, and we try to assess what we're bringing on as a client, what's going to take to bring this client on, what we're putting out there, what information do we have to retain, the work that goes into retaining that information. And so we base the pricing on that too. I mean, we would give you, I can tell you that, some of the communities around here, we've given a very reasonable rate to, and I would want to take this back and meet with my team to say, look what we're doing here, and I have to tell you, whether it is a straight dock or an assessed dock may affect that pricing, because it's a little bit more work to keep the assessed. Because it's just when you send that out and you have those people calling in to say, why am I paying $20, when my wife is paying $10? What is that? I mean, it's, and it depends on your population, what it is, but.
To follow off of what Karen said, I mean, do we know how much this brings in? Is it worth even continuing to collect this? Do we have any idea what the borough gets from this per year?
Off the top of my head, I think they said like $6,000 or something,
For per capita?
12,000.
Was it for per capita
I'd
or
have to
occupation or
actually
both?
look. It was both.
Okay. And what is your population?
We have around,
How
go
many?
ahead, Karen.
2,000, 2,200, right around there.
Okay. Yeah, so you would have good numbers. And again, we could break this down, and shame on me for not doing that before I came here. But we could break it down as far as breaking up Summit Township and Meyersdale and tell you how many bills we sent out, so that you would have that pricing on that, so.
If we would vote Tuesday night that we'd like to move forward with your company, and then could you have some information for us by the second Tuesday of April meeting, as far as if we need to change anything on the way we do things now? And
Yes, I could have some information to you by then. I don't know if I would be able to attend that meeting.
I don't think that would be necessary. If you would just give us the information, you can get Patty's email. Like I say, she seems to have a handle on this more than we do.
Or
And then we
call her
could
at
just
7 o'clock
maybe
in the
move
morning when
forward
she's
and-
in.
Yeah, you can call me at 6 if you want to.
Yeah, I know. I think Patty and I have talked a couple mornings at like 7:15 when we were bringing Somerset on, because I know she's the early bird.
I get emails from her at 6.
I'm sure. So,
What is your percentage now for the school?
again, shame on me for not knowing that. I didn't look at that before I came. I can get some of that stuff, and I can provide it to Pat. So, that is my fault. I should have done that ahead of time. We've been pretty,
So you'll give that information, you can get the information, relay it to Patty, and then she can report on Tuesday evening that we could at least decide maybe to make a motion to move forward with.
yeah. And again, with that information coming from them, it's a very easy transition for you. It's not as if we're going to be billing different people, different places, because all that information is going to be same as what the school district bill is. So, and you'll have people, my house is no different than any other house. You see 2 per capita bills come, and my wife is saying in July 1st, saying, I just paid this bill. I said, no, honey, that's for the school. You paid the local but,
Right.
I mean, it's that, so. But we'll, I mean, I think that it's a good relationship. I do feel that, hopefully many of the municipalities and school districts will be switching over to us. We kind of let our work be our reputation and show what we do. And again, as I said here, no news is good news. I haven't heard any complaints about the EIT for the county or problems. So I think our reputation is pretty good here, and I think that this would be a good working relationship together with you guys. And then once it happens, one of the problems with things running smoothly is you don't get to talk to your clients as much as, when you first start that, I mean, and it just runs. I mean, it's year after year. It's on our schedule. We do it, get it sent out. Everything comes in, so.
Well, John, thank you. Anybody else have any questions here?
When you get new clients like the borough, do they normally like send a notice out or put a notice in the paper so that people know that starting January 2026?
You can do that.
Because I know the school didn't do that and everybody was all confused.
Yeah. We've taken over delinquent collections for another county. And the county commissioner actually contacted me yesterday and said, can you please tell me when our delinquents are going out? Because we want to do a press release. In addition, we're going to send letters out to all of the townships and municipalities. And we want to get it out there. We're going to put it on radio. We're going to try to say that because, and it might be different for us, but for them, we're a new company coming into their county. Everyone's going to think it's a scam, seeing coming there. I mean, because that's the world we live in now. And so she wants to be able to get that out there so that people are not throwing their bills away. So, but
I think we should advertise it once we make the decision. Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
I think we could put a note like on our refuse bill, we could put it on our Facebook and all of that.
yeah. And then to repeat it, I mean, and you're going to have people that say, I didn't know it, I didn't see it, but it happens. I mean, you try to reach the mass, but sometimes it doesn't happen. But yeah, I would suggest that.
Okay.
I would suggest that, so. And we do a welcome letter. We can put a welcome letter in there. It is a small additional charge for that, to do that in that initial one saying that we've been selected. So you always have that option too, that we would fold it and put it into that bill saying what it is. We would give you the letter ahead of time to show you what it is. And if you wanted to, you could even take a picture of that and post it on your Facebook account to say you're going to be getting this or whatever, so.
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate.
Yeah, it's a good idea. The more notification you can get out, the better. All right.
John, thank you for driving up here. We appreciate it. Any other questions? We appreciate it. And Patty, we'll have on the agenda then that we can discuss this and possibly make a decision in the open forum Tuesday night at our regular meeting. I think it is too.
Yeah, and take, again, you have those packets, take a look through them, you'll be able to see some stuff in there. But if you have any questions, you can reach out to Patty. Patty, you can contact me, so, all right?
Thank you, John.
Thanks for your time.
Yep, safe travels.
Thank you.
So Terry was gracious enough to let us jump into his financial committee. We'll do the finances later if that's okay, Terry. That's the police. Mayor Shane's not here. Do you have anything, Ron? I guess he's going to have to make a presentation on these two items. The Salisbury police coverage and computers for the police vehicles. We were recommending possibly to buy 2 computers, but I'm going to let Shane do that. Hopefully he'll be here at the regular meeting. Anything else?
No.
Personnel. Ginny's not here. You know what? I'd like to make these 2 remarks here. I just like to, we've been kicking these things down the road. And I just want to say this to give everybody a chance to consider this. As far as creating a policy for the holiday bonus, just think about this. My suggestion would be we think about anybody works 35 hours or more, we give them $500 a year. And then if you're under that amount, that would include probably the police officers, our summer help, and Jeff Christner. we give them then $400, $300. It could be something, but let's move this thing along. I don't feel that we really need the union involved in this. This is something that we're doing, and I don't think Roland would give two hoots one way or another. So that's my remark on that. We can have comments, discussion on
Just so
that.
you know, the union probably won't oppose it, but they still have to be involved because it does affect the CBA.
Well, we can let them know, Mark, but, and I'm going to comment on number 2 here in just a minute too. Maybe we could discuss this Tuesday night. Is there any thoughts on what I just said? Now, I'm just tired of seeing this. It's a small item, for crying out loud. Let's make a decision and move on with it. Discussion?
I was thinking a formula, get your calculator out, $1 for every day you work,
I like that.
or $1.50 or something. You don't work, you don't get it. Over at Somerset, it's calculated, don't ask me how, but every hour you work, you get 25 cents or something like that goes into your bonus.
Well,
Just need
I
a formula.
Yeah, I think that's too complicated for us, Tom, but what does everybody else feel? You know, just, I mean, it's not like we have 1,000 employees here, or 100 employees. We have basically 3 that I feel would be full-time or almost, and then the others. But,
Like I said before, we want to be fair. Like them kids got bonuses. The other guys worked all year long, and they got the same bonus as the kids that worked 2 months or whatever.
but we have people that work all year long and only work 3 hours a week. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
So they
If-
only get $1.
But they would get a lesser amount rather than make it. Patty's gonna have to figure all this stuff out.
Figure it out.
I just,
What Tom's saying, if you prorated it and did it off an 8-hour day for a day, you could make that work even through a division means.
Whatever.
Got till December to work.
Okay, and then the next thing here, job descriptions. I think these job descriptions are a wonderful thing, but again, we've kicked this can down the road, and we are now under 2 years. Actually, next year in January, we're going to start and negotiate a new contract because the current 5-year contract will expire the end of 2026. So I say we just forget about these job descriptions at this point, because we have to bring Roland in and we haven't had any success getting him here. And then we just incorporate this into our negotiations. We're only 10 months away from when we start to negotiate. And then we get these things off, at least take number 2 off the list, and we move that forward with our negotiations. Thoughts on? Yes.
We would have to run that through the union because they have some job description issues / questions also, nothing, I don't think major, but we'd have to openly, both sides have to agree to do that.
Right, absolutely, Mark, but that's why I'm saying, we just say, Roland, look, we don't want to kick this. We'll incorporate this when we start negotiating a new contract. I know when we did it before, we started doing that. I think we had it done by March of the year before it expired, or the year that it expired. So I would just say, let's just roll it all in one ball and we start and discuss it next year, and then we can put the job descriptions in there. We can review the Christmas bonuses or the holiday bonuses. I guess Tom said we should do it before. I don't really care. I'm just trying to move this along a little bit, that we would come up with some kind of a formula. I mean, if you can have a proposal, Tom, that it's based on the hours you work, maybe that would be more fair. But, okay, that's it on the personnel. Was there anything else? Personnel. Terry, take it away. Finances.
Unpaid zoning hearing fees.
Okay, I had asked Patty to put that on. We had 2 individuals who had not paid their zoning fees. And I think it's a terrible example that we let these things go. One individual has come forward and paid after we sent the statements. So we have one other individual who hasn't paid, and I think we should treat this just like an unpaid garbage bill, where we go after it, Mark, and even possibly put a lien against their property if they're not gonna pay it. But I don't think it's right that we let these things, it's a poor example when someone doesn't pay. It's stealing from the borough, in my opinion. And I think that we have to have some precedent now that we move forward. We only have one individual that hasn't paid. So I don't know, how would we discuss this to move forward with a plan?
You would just have to decide if you want to try to collect it, because I'd have to look at the ordinance to tell you whether or not, like, what we can actually do with it. I know it's defined in the ordinance, but I don't remember what it says.
What does everybody else think?
I agree that it's paid.
Well, Mark, could you check on that maybe and just give us a report?
Yes.
Patty already has this on the agenda for Tuesday night, so maybe we could just, if you would bring that up, I think it would be appropriate. And then we only have one now, and what, it's $150? I thought you told me. I'm pretty sure you said 150. So, okay, Terry.
ADA restroom discussion.
I'll send this to Patty. So after our last meeting, there have been, so with this building, you know, we're 35 years behind the change in the laws requiring us to do this. And I thought about it a lot. And, you know, as we're painting, as we're doing the gym floor, as we're doing all this work, I think we need a comprehensive plan of getting the building up to code when it comes to ADA accessibility, which what I'm talking about is the ramp out here, you know, it needs to go towards the front of the building. You should have the curb cut out, sidewalk back to it, the ramp, the door should open on its own. Out front, some accessibility, and I think we can probably make the women's restroom ADA accessible because of the size. I don't think we can do the men's. So maybe we ought to consider in the MMA office making that the men's restroom and making it ADA accessible. So I think where we need to go with this, my thoughts are clearly open for discussion. We ought to get an engineer, and I do have a quote from one, to come in, do an assessment outside, inside on the first floor, and then we start going heavy at grant money. And I talked to Steve Spokart a little bit, and I said, well, our ADA ask of the CDBG might be larger because we really might want to do some of these things. We also have other information about getting ADA funding. So I think we ought to start with getting the comprehensive plan put together. We have a quote here for it. Nothing's cheap. And then I think we ought to set some goals. Then, you know, we go after some ADA money this year. You know, maybe we can do the women's restroom. We go after some ADA money next year, and maybe we can add on and do the men's restroom or the reverse. And start, you know, maybe having a goal of over the next 3 or 4 years, we get the building up to speed. Maybe that's our money, part of it, and it's ADA grant money for another part of it. But I think, you know, we could look at this just doing the family accessibility barrier project down there that we talked about a little bit the other week. I just think that's piecemeal, and that might not be approved down the road because, like I say, I don't think the men's bathroom, we could ever make it work.
I don't know why not. If we took one toilet and a wall out, that would give plenty of room to get wheelchair in, anything. And 2 stalls would be plenty. The busiest time is only at Maple Festival. Yes, there's other times when people come in, but if we took that one stall out and took the wall out, you'd have all the room you ever needed to get wheelchairs in.
But it's a calculation based on the maximum load of the building. And that is what the engineer would tell us, what we can get away with, the minimum standards that we have to do to get the building in
We'll need to see
compliance.
what they say then.
That's right.
Well, I kind of agree. Go ahead, I'm sorry, Ron.
We're gonna soon, the downstairs will be all bathrooms and one office, you know?
See, why can't we make the ladies' restroom and the family bathroom in there? And then I kind of agree with Ron. I mean, I think our men's restroom, if you go to a McDonald's, I've never been in the ladies, but in the men's restroom, I think we have as much room in our men's restroom here as they do in a McDonald's restroom. Go measure it out. I mean,
And
I
that's what
kind
the
of agree with.
engineer would do.
Well, and that's what, but I would like to see us drift towards just retaining the two restrooms unless it's absolutely not appropriate. And then,
Sure.
but to have three restrooms down here, I just think for two weekends a year, I just think we can make it go with these two up here. I would surely like to push for that, would be my suggestion.
Well, I was confused. I didn't think we had restrooms, stalls that were available for wheelchairs, and I see there's plenty of room
And the women,
in the women's and the men's for wheelchairs to get in, and there's rails where they can get on the commodes.
See,
What I don't understand is why we have do not use out of order. You know, if your toilet breaks at home, you don't just put a sign on and say the heck with it.
And they're all have signs on.
Well, yeah, why aren't we fixing our toilets? I asked,
well, we just have to fix them.
I asked our JR the other day, I said, what's wrong with it? He said, it didn't seal or something. Well, let's fix it. The parks and.
I think we ought to put new toilets in
New
because they're
toilets
so
would be
short.
very
I mean, you're $200 for a Kohler toilet.
yeah,
in the
I
office.
agree with that, Karen. I'd like to see us upgrade them, but I would really like to see us make every effort to
That's
utilize what
fine.
we have as far as the
That's
two
fine.
restrooms. And then this area here, we can kind of keep that. But I agree 100%.
We need an
wanna-
engineer to come in and tell us that though.
Yes, agreed.
I'm not interested in spending any more money than we have to, but we have to meet the code. And that is what they would assess.
Okay.
All right, Meyersdale Municipal Authority Board Member Description of Duties.
So right now, we're currently circulating those around through the board itself. And I will have those to you via email before Tuesday, preferably Monday, so you at least have 24 hours to review them. But it should be fairly simple, so that it's easy for people to understand and be able to take in.
Yeah, Mark, it would be really nice. I really would like to approve something and have that we can vote to advertise, Monday or Tuesday night so that we can maybe make the deadline, Patty, the Monday before our April meeting. And then hopefully we'll get some applicants and make this decision because I know the three remaining MMA members are really, they want some help.
They can't do anything, right?
Well, there's three of them, but if one's sick, then they don't have a quorum, and if, according to what I've been told, it's a problem getting checks signed, with only three members, so, I would just like to see us hopefully have this ready to present Tuesday night that we can advertise. Okay,
All right, ordinance, resolution, policy regarding not serving on both the Borough Council and Municipal Authority simultaneously.
And I'll be sending that out too. I pulled two different versions that are already used in the state. And I will send those both out to the council so they can review those. Most likely that and number 4 will come to you before Monday. It'll probably be over the weekend.
All right, door construction, window replacement project.
So the first thing I'll tell you is that I did research what we can and cannot do with expanding what we're doing with the COVID money. I don't believe that we can at a major project with restrooms or outside. If it was a smaller project, it was a smaller percentage of the total amount, we might get away with it. But the issue is the bid that was put out in December that had to be out before December 31st is for windows. Adding the heaters in, because that's not a major addition, is one thing. We would just have to be very careful. Anything else we add is a change order.
See, I think,
And I have to have that information into the Department of the Treasury, which is what Patty's well aware of before. I think it's December 15th or April 15th, isn't it, Patty?
I was looking the other day, I thought it was April the 30th, but I might be wrong.
Okay, I couldn't remember the date.
somehow at our special meeting, and I think we all agree on this, the original intent was that we made a motion to fund hiring an engineer and moving forward with a very serious intent on handicap accessibility. Then somehow at this meeting, all of a sudden, it was mentioned by somebody that we're going to do a change order and all of a sudden magically put handicap accessible restrooms in with the Windows money, the COVID money. And I mean, that just ain't going to happen. So I think that what you're saying, Mark, is a good thing, that we maintain the original project. And if we can add the heaters or something else that Tom or Karen would recommend, that we move forward as planned. And then Karen has some estimates with this handicap accessibility, and then we move forward with that as rapidly as what we can. So I think we're all on page with that then, right?
I want one, so you met with somebody with the gym stuff, Tom did, I think, or talked to them. And then I met with Dar about the windows and the heating and air stuff. There was some talk, and the Dar guy, is his name Justin? Jason. He said there was some comment about maybe on the first floor, we would put like awnings at the bottom.
Yeah, that's all.
That would, we can't do that.
No.
That's gonna change our quote way too much. So I just wanted to make sure we were all in agreement.
Actually, I talked to him yesterday. And he kind of hinted he has a signed contract, so I think we should just go ahead as planned.
Yeah, I agree.
Then the window will not open.
Right. He said $10,000 extra for a window that opens.
Just keep a
Yeah.
hammer close by, and if you get trapped in there, can't get out, smash a window.
But with the heating and air unit, so these mini splits will run up to 5 lines. And so with that, like a normal air conditioning, I think it'll have a fan mode. So you'll be able to get some air without having heating or air on.
And just a side note, I asked him about painting the gym.
Yeah.
You don't want to know how much that,
Um,
the estimate is.
I do.
$12,000. $2,000 to put up the basketball.
How much is left in Jeff Christner's gym fund?
Is it around, if you look in your financial papers there, like $70,000, I thought.
Or I'm not gonna do it now. We'll just,
Right.
okay.
We might have to find somebody else to paint.
That's something we can continue to work on, Tom.
All right, Frostburg State Students Community Service Tasks.
So Chloe messaged me the other day, when Brooke Kirchner passed away, her friends from Frostburg come up every year in the spring and want to do a project, one evening. And the garden club ladies are great. They just kind of have their system. And so the group ends up like weeding and doing some things like that. They would like to do a more robust project this year, so I'm bringing it. Huh?
They can paint the gym?
Yeah, there you go. One night, we'll be done. They wanted some suggestions. So can we think about that until Tuesday, what we might want done around town?
Do you have any suggestions?
I haven't had much time to think about it. I know we'll want to get the bikes up. I know there's a big push by the merchants. I wondered if we wanted to take it to the merchants. They have a big push this year. They're putting more bikes. I need to pick some up from Regina. They're putting more bikes up, putting QR codes to kind of get tours going kind of around town. I wondered if we could offer, like, I got a bike for the Maple Festival. We have one painted really cool for Meyersdale. Katie has one at Somerset Trust. The post office, we got them one. They got their own last year. It's a replica of an antique bike. You know, maybe they would want to buy the flowers and offer to, I'd be happy if they provided the flowers for the 3 bikes in the park. I just wondered if they would want to do the bikes around town this year. That was the only thing I could come up with.
Two real quick things, Mr. Chairman, with your permission. Number one, Mark, we had kind of promised Deb at the mansion, Fisher, that we were going to have a report if you found anything as far as annoyance ordinance that would be appropriate.
Well,
for,
it's all gonna be from a nuisance standpoint.
I mean, you can,
It's gonna be a common law nuisance, which means taking action through the court system. What should happen is we need more than one landowner to have an issue to make it a common law. Otherwise, it was still common law, but it would be considered a private versus a public nuisance. At this point, I believe that they're violating our ordinances, it's several different ordinances, but the actual public part comes when there's multiple landowners affected. It can't just be about one landowner for the borough to get involved and do that. When
okay.
it is multiple landowners, then it becomes a public nuisance.
Okay, Mark, with all due respect, I'll stop you here. I was mainly, I think if you could give that report Tuesday night, I had asked Mrs. Fisher if she, no problem, if she would come back. So if she's here or not, you could maybe give that report because we had asked you to research that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, buddy.
I had a question. Why did Ed use the old fee schedule? I mean, we made that a lot more robust.
I have a phone call into him and I haven't heard back yet, but I'll have an answer for you soon.
Because did you pull
Because
that?
I do know
Was it
that I had
2020?
sent him the new one and Patty had previously sent him the new one. So I don't know how that happened.
Okay, the last question I have, Eric and I on our lovely evening walks, we still have Santa Claus up in the park. And I mean, the Christmas lights are beautiful. We could leave them up all year as far as I'm concerned. Somebody said Red Fox, the comedian who had a Christmas tree all year long in his house. But I think who would we see about maybe taking the Christmas decorations, the Christmas tree down, because before too long, we're going to need that space for the car show and the Maple Festival. So, I mean, should we contact, maybe I could call the branch here in Meyersdale, Somerset Trust?
Jenny's the one that.
Yeah, and I don't want to bother her at this point, so.
Yeah, we usually got, I usually got Somerset Trust to set it all up. And then I went to Diamond and I forget the guy that used to work up here at First National. And we had a different bank come and help me and Jenny take it all down. And then Brian took all the bins we got up there. I haven't wanted to bother Jenny either.
Right.
But then if she has plans in place to get it taken down with the weather being nice next week, I didn't want to usurp her either.
Correct, we still have some time on it. I just thought I'd bring that up.
We take the banners down there.
He did already, I thought.
They are down.
They're down.
In my opinion, I think these lights need to be taken down too before Maple Festival time,
That's the fireman.
Yeah, I say we can contact them so that Brian can be there with the truck and put them on and take them down here. But, I mean, I don't think we need them at Maple Festival time.
Yeah, maybe we could talk to Brian Tuesday night at the meeting and see if he's talked to the firemen, or Terry, do you have any?
I could email Mike Miller, the chief.
See if we could get a Sunday, we would help them like we always do. Yeah, I agree with Ron.
I know this isn't on the agenda, but I talked to the guy from the Corps of Engineers, and he don't think you'll be able to use two federal grants together with the riprap.
There
He
you
said,
have it.
Patty, if you had any information on what Karen was working on, if you could send it to him, he could look over that.
Okay, we got the grant application. You got an email to you and to Karen. I have that, like,
Okay.
is it,
Yeah, we signed it already.
Stephen Hutzler.
Stephen
Hutzler.
And the last thing, we received that email today about the High Street Railroad Bridge. And it has on there at the end, unless I misunderstood it, the very last page, there's a little column, it's multicolor. And it says like, we don't own that bridge. It has Meyersdale Borough, that we're the owners of it. Did anybody notice that?
I will look at it, but no, we do not own that. We are tasked with the roadway that goes over top the bridge, but the railroad owns the bridge, and they are supposed to maintain and keep it, but I will check that out.
Yeah, Mark, it's on the I think there were 9 pages, and at the very last page, you kind of have to look at it sideways. It's a little strip along the right-hand side of the page, and there's 2 places there where it says that Meyersdale is the owner, the Meyersdale Borough. And it wasn't the location, so check that out, and maybe you can report that Tuesday night too.
Mark, are we gonna wait till Tuesday night then about the wall on Grant Street?
Do you want me to chime in? I can chime right now. We can't really get into a
It's up to you.
discussion, but I'll
No,
say
it's up to
from
you. You just wanna
an
do it.
attorney standpoint, Ron and I met with about 80, it was like 15 or 16 people from PennDOT on Thursday via Teams, Microsoft Teams. It was one of the most uneventful and unproductive meetings I've ever had, just because they refused to help or do anything. Now, our state senator, on the other hand, is trying to help us find options financially and find options to deal with that wall. And I told the state senator's rep, who is an excellent guy, that we would, I would bring that back to the borough, whatever ideas they come up with, I would bring to you. He just sent me some ideas about an hour before the meeting. I will send those out to the council so you guys can get it. He is trying to come up with some grant options, and they're still working with PennDOT to resolve this, because remember, our state senator sits on the committees that deal with their budget and deal with their other issues. And he is very good at getting things done.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark. I do not in a million years think the borough owns that wall. I just absolutely don't believe that for a minute.
You can ask Ron, I was adamant against it. PennDOT's views on that wall are unique. I'll just put it that way. They agreed that the wall sits on the roadway, and they agreed that it's within their right of way, but the problem is that roadway was not constructed by the state of Pennsylvania. That roadway was constructed through federal grant money or federal money, and that roadway and that wall goes back to the New Idea era, during the Great Depression. And there is paperwork that shows that. So I don't know how in the world they get out of that. And if we continue down that road, I'll most likely get a hold of Congressman Joyce and also our state senators, because that is federal money impacted, and legally, if they're not going to do it, we can request the federal government to at least look at it. That is US 219 business. That's why.
Right.
One other question for you, Mark. Salisbury Street, do we have a hearing date?
Yeah, and I don't have it with me, Karen, but I will send that out. I promised you I'd do that.
It's his own.
Clarence, are you still there?
I'm still here.
How about giving us some remarks? Do you have any questions or thanks for tuning in? I omitted at our last meeting that you were listening via telephone and you're attending tonight, but do you have anything you'd like to offer to the committees?
No, everything sounds good there, but with the bridge deal, that was one big concern we were worried about, and Keystone Street.
Tom
And
wrote
also,
this up.
Route 219 business areas, that's sort of what oldest, projects we were on. So, when you're dealing with other people, it drags out, I understand that.
Okay, thanks, Clarence. Does anybody have anything else?
Tom brought up, you on the phone, here where it says, you were talking about, it says owner, city, borough.
That's what I say. That
So
can't be
it is
right.
right there.
Yeah. Dan, take us home. It was a good meeting, folks. We'll see y'all Tuesday night. What is it, the 11th?
Yep.
March the 11th, 2000.